our doomsday shows the living. For your strength, you're gonna need an awful lot. When you see our shocker pictures, Souls Terrified.
Welcome to Lost Legacies, everyone. I'm Sam.
And I'm Sam. This is terrifying. This is too much. This is some coherence BS.
Matt couldn't find a Halloween outfit this year, so he decided to go as me.
Wow. Okay, what's your best is this your best impression of me?
Yeah, I don't know. This was like when you were clean shaven and like, so I just felt for whatever reason it was you younger, which was not that long ago. Where'd he go?
Oh God.
Oh no!
Oh, well, good. I'm glad he's gone. Jeez.
Sayonara. Well,
that is such a boyish face. It's the face of somebody who says, "Yes, sir, I'll have your daughter home by 9:00."
No. That's the face of the person who I'm trying to think what the meme said. That's the face of 1 a.m. Hey, you up? And what we have now is the face of Hey, you up? Left on red.
What?
You never seen that meme?
No.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
like someone young and like full of life, and it's just like, hey, you up? But then years later, they're more hard and exterior, and then when they get the text, hey, you up? And it just leaves it on red.
Oh, so the first more youthful one is the one sending the "Hey, you up" message.
Sure.
So young Sam is sending the "Hey, you up" message.
I don't know the science of it.
Well, no, because I'm
basically
just
the younger you is the one who's like, hey, you up? So full of life and hope and joy. And then the older, more jaded one is like, I ain't even responding to that.
Oh, okay. So I'm getting it, and then okay.
You know, explaining memes without showing it, it just doesn't work. You know?
Well, I was confused. I want to be in on the
art
joke.
That will be lost throughout history, and I think it's best that it is.
I don't know. Memes are going to endure.
Probably, unfortunately, like in the 50 years from now, memes will be the only language recognizable.
They're the hieroglyphics of our age, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll only be speaking in like using, Riz and I thought of another one. I was like, oh, that's a good one. But it's like, yeah, so yeah, like memes like that. Yeah, sure.
Well, speaking about other things we don't understand. I don't know. What are we talking about today?
What? Is that your lead-in? You didn't understand the movie. I get it.
No, I understood it. But halfway through I got up to go to the restroom. And I told Dad what was happening. Mm-hmm. And I basically revealed to him the twist, which was just my theory at the time. And he just burst out laughing. And I was like, yep, that's the kind of movie this is.
Yeah, it is.
I think this was a very interesting experiment we did of doing like the Halloween movies. And I look forward to doing it again next year. But at the same time,
do it again next year?
Sure, unless we think of something cooler. I am bummed that we couldn't get Mickey and Amy for the Halloween special. It doesn't feel that special, you know?
Yeah.
So, and we got to see, who's the Halloween trivia champion. So
that's true.
This just means it by default it's Mickey again.
Mm.
Yeah. Great. So, but I mean, he earned it last year, so we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. Just everything going on in our lives, and especially yours right now with the comic and the short films, and then Mickey's doing a new short film, and watching the horror movies. I'm usually like in the zone come October. I already mentioned that I've been writing a vampire screenplay feature for years now. So it's like it's that time of year, it starts to get cool. Spookiness is in the air, so I
It's
start
true.
writing. And then I know what I can talk about. This this time around, I'm writing something new, which I'm really excited about. A short film, but it's slowly becoming a lot longer because as I'm writing it, I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to edit this out or cut this if it's gonna be short. So like that short film is getting longer and longer. I'm like, this might
Uh-huh.
be a feature or a very short feature. We'll see.
Hmm.
But of all things, I wasn't watching a horror movie when I was inspired to write it. I was
Ah.
watching an action movie,
Wow.
The Shadow Strays on Netflix.
Ooh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sam, do you know how to say the director's name?
No, Timo. Uh, I
I apologize. I think it's Tajanto,
okay.
Indonesian. Timo Tajanto. I think that's how it's spelled anyway. But
Hmm.
what do I know? I speak English my whole life and not well. And I'm Mexican, but I don't speak Spanish at all. So
Wow.
yeah, but he's the director who did The Night Comes for Us, which is
Hmm.
easily like my favorite action movie.
Hmm.
I don't know if this one like surpasses it, but it comes close, man. Um, and he's also directing Nobody 2 with what's the actor's name?
Um. Bob Odenkirk.
That's right. That's right. So that's cool, and at one point he was supposed to do the Train to Busan or the American version, right?
Yeah, yeah. He was gonna do a remake of that.
Yeah, I don't know. So if that's still a thing or not. But what was the tweet you sent a couple weeks ago where he was talking about he wants to like build a relationship with Netflix and have all these movies come out.
Oh yeah, because he was on Twitter. He was talking about how excited he was building up hype for the Shadow Strays.
Hmm.
Um, and somebody under one of his posts said that he should do like the next Raid movie. And then he
Mm-hmm.
politely responded like, "That's not me. I don't. Those aren't my movies."
Hmm.
And that director said that they weren't going to do anymore. And then
Hmm.
under that, somebody commented like, "Well, then are we going to get The Night Comes for Us too?" And he responded again saying that he's waiting to build up enough rapport and credits so that when he gets a blank check from Netflix,
Yeah.
that's his blank check movie. He's gonna do a sequel to The
Yeah.
Night Comes for Us.
Yeah, he posted I don't know if it's just fan art or what, but he posted that Shadow Strays was I believe in top 10 this past weekend on Netflix, and he said
Hmm.
something to the fact of like one step closer, and it was like a fan art or something of the main guy from The Night Comes for Us. I was like,
Hmm.
oh man, are they gonna bring him back? I don't know.
I hope so.
So everyone go check out Knife Comes for Us and go check out the Shadow Strays. Just solid action movies. Like if you like the Raid, I think you'll like these. And I think that's why that guy was asking him to do the Raid 3. Because even though he has nothing to do with the Raid, a lot of those actors in that stunt team were behind The Night Comes for Us.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there is a connection between them. They have worked together before. Um, dude, Night Comes for Us, part two. I'm in.
I'm there.
As for Shadow Strays, solid, man. Like, of course, I have my issues, but it's just a really cool action, and it's a level of violence and brutality that just American cinema isn't like used to yet. Like, we've
Mm.
had some brutal movies, but this was, it's like an art. I love it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, anyway, so point is, midway through the movie, I'm watching all the blood and the like spurting everywhere, and I'm like, huh. And I start getting ideas for like my own short film, and that's what I started writing. So Shadow Strays mixed with all the spooky horror stuff we've been
Hmm.
watching and
Hmm.
kind of culminated in that. And I don't want to jinx myself, but I will straight out say I don't think anything we watched this month was really scary.
Yeah.
I think Malignant was the scariest,
Hmm.
and it was
It was
mostly
more like
because of
creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy. They really James Bond, James Wan. I almost said James Bond. James Bond directed by James Wan.
Whoa, I'd watch that.
I'd pay for that.
Yeah.
James Wan does really good with what's it called? Intensity, but like dread, like
Hmm.
what's the word? Like the slow build.
Like, yeah, the slow build, the suspense,
Suspense. There we go.
atmosphere.
Very much like I was reminded of the first Sicario. You know, like that bridge
Hmm.
scene is just like that suspense is just building and building. Um, it's a completely different movie, but I felt like it was similar to the way he was building the suspense throughout this movie.
I can see that,
Um,
yeah.
it was like typical stuff we've seen in horror movies before,
Hmm.
but it's like self-aware. So like I don't think there was any point in time where like the jump scare was actually where you were expecting it.
Yeah.
You know, because so many moments I'm like, oh, here it comes, and it never does, and that
Yeah.
almost makes it creepier. I was like, oh, and then when it does, like the jump scare happens, you're like, oh, damn it, you got me. So
Hmm.
yeah, but now that I mean we're in it, so why don't you introduce the movie for this week?
Okay, so this is the movie that we're talking about. The closeout, our Halloween spooktacular, is none other than the James Wan, what I would consider masterpiece,
Hmm.
uh, Malignant.
Okay,
Hmm.
masterpiece, interesting.
Hmm. Now, to be fair, I I haven't watched all of his stuff,
Hmm.
and I still think that the Conjuring stuff is probably scarier. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely, like it is definitely scarier. Maybe one of those would technically be like his best movie.
Hmm.
I heard a lot of things about like Conjuring 2, and people were saying that it was like super great. Uh, when it comes to horror, I'm still, I don't know if I'm still like in my like infancy of horror,
Mm,
but there's just some stuff that I'm like, this is a little too much for me, so I don't
yeah,
want to go watch it.
like
So
me.
yeah, exactly. So
There we go.
I like it is mostly like it is the stuff that I know is going to have those jump scares, you know? And when it comes to like possession,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that gets me, you
Hmm.
know? Possession and like creepy evil dolls. I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm going to nope out of that.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, so when this movie was coming out, I remember seeing the trailer. I remember you showed me the trailer and I'm like, this looks interesting. I want to know what's going on,
I should have
you
gone back and
know?
watched the trailer after I watched the movie. I
Mm,
didn't.
yeah.
Um, but I remember now. So to just say it, the movie is essentially you're following the character of Madison.
Hmm.
Something. It's weird because like something kills off her husband or her fiance, something like that,
Hmm.
and then it kind of just does its own thing. Like it still kind of haunts her, but it's also like killing other people, quote unquote, unrelated.
Hmm.
But now she's like seeing it almost like psychically.
Yeah.
The big reveal, spoilers if you haven't seen Malignant, get the heck out of here. The
Hmm.
big reveal is that it's actually her killing everyone, but it's like her cancerous, malignant twin brother who's
Hmm.
been like buried under her skull.
Hmm.
I can't say that with a straight face. Um,
And
it,
maybe you're not supposed to.
you know, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. It's just so wild. Uh, I remember that twist. So I don't know if you told me about it or someone else or what. I just
Hmm.
didn't know that that was this movie.
Oh, okay.
However, I don't think it really mattered. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but like I pretty much called it super early. Like that opening scene, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
You know, okay. Okay, interesting. So before I really like jump into like my feelings on it, I want to take us back in a little flashback here.
Okay.
20, 25 years, I don't know. But back when the first Saw movie came out,
Oh, okay.
changed horror cinema.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I
A
don't watch
little
scary
bit.
movies, so I'm exaggerating. But I remember watching like that final scene, the climax. Spoilers for Saw, I guess, if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That final scene where the quote unquote dead body stands up, and you
Mm-hmm.
realize Jigsaw's been in the room the entire time, and the music's going crazy. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun. And then I think it says game over, right? At the end, when he slams
Mm-hmm.
the door, cut
Yeah.
to black. Boom, my mind was blown, right? Everyone's mind was blown.
Mm-hmm.
A peak moment in Hollywood cinema. A couple years go by. We get Saw 2. And what do? Exact same thing. Last scene, there's some kind of crazy twist. The music pulls up, da-da-dun, da-da-dun, cut to black. Pretty awesome. Not as effective as the first one, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of years later, Saw 3, same thing. Twist, music, cut to black.
Okay.
Cool, but even less effective. My pitch to you, Sam, is let's make a movie that's only those scenes. And that's how you get Malignant. I can't tell you how many times, like, it's not even a
Uh-huh.
montage, but it's just like something happens. The music, which is like, it's like kind of rock, and it's like da-da-dun, 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 and I'm like, wait, what's happening? Is this a twist? What's going on? You know? Oh no, it looks like these eggs are expired. Da-da-dun, da-da-dun, dun. As I drive through the grocery, it's just like
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, is something important happening? Like, it's just every transition of the film, like.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I was losing my mind watching this, dude. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to compare it to Salem's Lot, which I felt like we were kind of both agreed on was like a cool concept. Salem's Lot was a
Mm-hmm.
cool concept, but there was no execution at all, and you got this just very slow, boring movie.
Okay.
Malignant's almost the opposite.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
dumbest thing, but it's filled with like really awesome stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what
Yeah.
is happening? My main issue, kind of like all my little gripes and complaints here, it kind of stems for what I kind of mentioned to you yesterday. I think this was like two different films being made at once.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
You
think
did, yeah, you told me that.
I think James Wan had his vision, and I think the studios wanted something else. Because this movie, like, it's all over the place. And most of the time, I would say that like a complaint. Um, it kind of works for this movie, but just because of how weird it is,
Mm-hmm.
I just think like we're not used to watching stuff like this in movies. Like just the way the story plays out and the pacing and the style. It's very weird. So it's kind of like a shock to the system, which is refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like James Wan really had this crazy idea of just years ago. You called it like punk rock horror movie, and I kind of
Mm-hmm.
get that. I'm like, yeah, like I feel like it's kind of breaking all of the Hollywood storytelling rules, which is
Mm-hmm.
really cool. And like in a way, the James Wan story is I don't even know if he wrote it or what, but I know he directs it. But I feel like it's almost like the rise of a supervillain. In fact, when I was watching it, I was thinking this would be actually fit perfectly with in M Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable
Mm.
universe.
Okay.
You know, because like even though there's tons of quote unquote supernatural, once you figure out the twist, you're like, oh, it's not supernatural at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's in a way superpowers.
I'm well,
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
kind of,
like,
kind of.
I'm
Okay,
like,
okay.
okay, cool.
I'm gonna stop you right here because you're touching on a lot of stuff that I need to comment on.
Okay.
So, first off, James Wan, uh, James Wan, along with Akilah Cooper, JT Petty, and James Wan's wife Ingrid Besu, who was in the movie.
Oh,
Uh,
who'd she play?
She plays the forensics photographer or the
Oh,
forensics
that's
gatherer.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. Okay.
They all wrote and came up with the idea together
Yeah.
based off of Ingrid's research into a sort of true life case
Okay.
where some like similar things were happening. And then Akilah Cooper wrote the script.
Okay.
There is a comic book, a graphic novel that Juan wrote that is called Malignant Man, that he had to come out and say that this story and Malignant Man are separate. They're
Mm,
two separate stories. This is not based off of an existing IP, and it is not a superhero movie.
hmm
It's not the origin of a superhero. It's none of that. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on was just I hear what you're saying about how it feels like there's two different movies,
hmm
two different things that are going on here. I I don't think that's true.
hmm
I think this feels sort of like a blank check for Juan.
hmm
Even though it's because and I say that because he's coming off of Aquaman and
hmm
producing more of the Conjuring movies. And Aquaman was huge, it made
Yeah.
$1 billion, so even though this isn't Warner Brothers, this is Universal, it was kind of like, hey, like this he's hot right now. Like, like
hmm
what does he want to do? And coming up with like this, it was sort of just the way he was describing how intently they edited the trailer to make sure that the spoilers weren't in it. It's
Right.
like there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the trailer, and we want to hook you in with this premise, but just yeah, I don't know, just the way because I was reading up on it earlier, and yeah, like he kind of asking people to like meet it where it's coming at you,
Yeah.
and if you get a strong reaction from it, then that's what we're going for,
Yeah.
So I don't think that this is an issue of a quote unquote visionary, coming clashing with the studio.
Yeah.
I think this is just kind of like an artist coming into making a crazy, like a crazy
Hmm.
horror movie on the studio's dime. And
Interesting. Okay.
this is something that like this kind of style of movie of horror movie it's a little bit more akin to Italian horror,
hmm
a specific genre of Italian horror movie called giallo.
hmm
Now I did a little research on this, so I'm going to talk for a little bit. But giallo came from these like old uh yellow covered magazines back in like the 20s and 30s that were telling crime stories, and they were so popular that like every single like publisher started copying the yellow cover. Now giallo is literally yellow. That's what
Hmm.
it's called. So they're just basically doing like taking these other stories, these other like this other imprint, and marketing their stories that way. Giallo becomes a film genre that essentially is taking the idea of a crime story, but removing certain aspects that make it more crime like or more noir and putting more of the psychological horror on it. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially, like the protagonist is usually not a police officer or in any way associated with the police.
Oh,
And
interesting.
there's usually, if she is not the main character, usually a young woman is part of the cast who is being pursued or followed or stalked or in some way involved
hmm
with this killer. And then a little bit later in the movies, as the movies are kind of going, they start to add not just a psychological aspect, but some of them start to add a supernatural aspect.
Hmm.
And you can usually tell. So like Dario Argento makes I think a lot of people kind of credit him as one of the best like makers of giallo movies.
Yeah.
Him and like Mario Bava, a couple of others. Um, so for my money, I think what James Wan is doing is taking that concept, the
Hmm.
style of giallo horror, and transposing it here in
Hmm.
America. Because there are certain similarities. You have a young woman in peril. There is this sort of supernatural or otherworldly terror, something that is not human,
Hmm.
mostly. Uh, the way Gabriel is dressed in a black coat and wearing the black gloves. There's so many shots where specifically putting the black gloves on. That's straight out of Giallo's. Like that's how you
Hmm.
know. Like there's always close-up shots of somebody with black gloves holding the
Yeah.
knife or holding the garrote, before they attack. Um, and just like in Dario Argento's movies, there is an element of the supernatural. There's a few, I think, maybe like two that I know of, where psychics play a role.
Hmm.
Where it's like the movie starts and we're here, we're doing all this stuff, and then a psychic is reading the room and reads the mind of a killer,
Mm.
and then looks around and doesn't know who that is,
Yeah.
so automatically sets you in that. And then so this is kind of doing something
Hmm.
similar where like Madison, she's not exactly a psychic, but she's witnessing these crimes. She's
Yeah. Yeah.
witnessing, these murders happening before her eyes, and she's paralyzed. She can't move and she
Hmm.
doesn't understand what the connection is. And and then as we find out later, it's like, oh, because
Yeah.
it's her. She is still witnessing this. Gabriel is showing her these horrible things.
Because the movie opens, like the opening shot is of that hospital, that gothic looking hospital.
Hell
As that
yeah.
opening shot, I was like, dude,
Hell yeah.
I'm like, I think I'm into this. I think I like this movie just from
It's
that
such
establishing shot.
it's such like a dark castle kind of opening, like
Yeah, I
the
was like,
90s
is
The
this
Haunting,
Arkham Asylum? Like, what is this place? This is so
Yeah.
rad.
Yeah.
But that opening, like, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really cool. See, it's really weird because it's this opening to like we have to cut out the cancer and blah blah blah, and then like it smash cuts to the opening credits,
Hmm.
and in the opening credits you see like all the procedure stuff and like blah blah blah, all the hospital files, and I just it kind of helped me figure it out. Like, oh, okay, Malignant. They're cutting something off. They're cutting out cancer. You could kind of see Gabriel through like the,
Hmm.
the dirty thing. I was like, interesting. So like right off the bat, like I said, I didn't realize it was this movie, but I start thinking like, wait, wasn't there a movie with someone's like twin on the back of their head?
Yeah.
That's not Voldemort. Uh, so that's what I was thinking, and like I wonder how I would feel about this movie, like if I didn't know or if I
Mm.
didn't theorize that. But also, like, how would I feel about this movie if that scene wasn't in it? If you
Yeah.
just start with Madison,
Yeah.
because like I'm really curious, like how I would feel about it, actually not knowing what's going on.
Mm.
You know,
Okay.
um, I don't know. Maybe it would have been. Because I feel like what James Wan is doing is something like so radical and really out there. I almost want him to double down and like go further, man. Go
Mm.
crazy. Uh and I feel like it doesn't really like that's why I was comparing it to like something that the studios were saying cuz like it just felt like there was constraint like we can't tell this awesome story that we're trying to tell, you know what I mean? Um
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of see what you're
Maybe
saying.
for Malignant too because of course they kind of leave it an opening.
Oh,
Uh
I would cry. I'm upset that I didn't get to go watch this in
yeah.
theaters.
I
But I
would love
mean,
Malignant too. Like, I'd be down for that. I,
yeah.
but I am disappointed because, I don't know, just the vibe of the story. Like, I'm bummed that she's not able to kill him at the end. Like,
Well, that was never her goal.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's still like she finally gets her power and she finally gets control, you know,
Hmm.
and but she can't kill it, without her dying as well. You know, I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh man, like I I kind of wished it had been just like a one and done, like, yeah, you're finally out of there.
Mm.
Especially with that scene where uh the mom is telling Gabriel, I should have never left you. I should have loved you because you're my son. You know, you deserve that no matter
Hmm.
what. And I'm like, oh man, this is really heady. I don't know.
Hmm.
It just felt like it would have been cool, just like finite, we finally beat him, because it kind of feels like, oh, he survived the first time in the beginning of the movie, when
Yeah.
she was a kid. Now he's still alive. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. But if they actually killed him, we wouldn't get a sequel, and I would be down for a sequel. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again too, like there's, obviously like in the writing of it, they said that like can't really kill Gabriel because it's like you said, Madison dies too.
yeah.
And I can see a world where it's like that's the direction they go,
Well, I think they
you
say
know?
it's not that she dies, but there's the likelihood that it will kill her.
Okay. Well, yeah,
So they didn't
you
want to
know.
risk it. I'm
Yeah.
kind of the mindset like and of course it's just me, so I'm not judging the film because it doesn't do what I want. But like
Mhm.
I just kind of figure she finally takes control, she should do it. It'd be like, you know what, if I die, I'm gonna die fighting this guy. Cut him
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Because dude, especially the line that twists the whole thing, because she's just scared, she doesn't know what to do the whole thing, the whole time, which is really tough for an actor. So I gotta praise, what's her name, Annabelle or Annabeth Wallace? I don't remember. She's from Peaky Blinders. Um,
Annabelle.
Annabelle Wallace. It's so hard to just be frozen in fear for significant chunks of the movie, so that's
Hmm.
challenging as an actor. So I think she does pretty good doing that. And then finally, when her sister says, he's the reason your babies are dead, he's been
Yeah.
feeding off of them, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Time for some mommy vengeance. Like, we're going to tear this thing apart, you
I
know?
will, yeah, I will say like on this rewatch, um, I think I agree that like that ending, that final confrontation, I think that's where we really needed to go off. It was
Yeah.
really cool that like she was able to get the one up on Gabriel, making him see that like, oh, he did get his vengeance and all that stuff. But then it just kind of ends like right as she's doing this, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, I think what would have like made it like peak unequivocally one of the greatest movies of all time is if they had in like her mind or in their shared mind, if they had just gone full Jason, Freddy versus Jason with it,
Yeah.
like
Like them
like
duking it out
just
in her head.
weird crazy like color palettes and scenes, and like we're fighting in like our child, like the childhood bedroom, now we're fighting in the hospital,
That would have been awesome.
doing kind of those stuff, you know.
Because it was very weird, how when she's seeing the other murders, it does that weird transition of like the scenery melting around her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and again, I think I would have enjoyed that more if I didn't know that, like, the twist, because that felt very, it. I don't know. I liked it, but again, I wish they had done something like that in that final scene.
Yeah.
Because they do confront each other like in her headspace or whatever. So
Hmm.
that would have been really cool to see, like, everything changing around her. I even said, I'm like, dude, if the cute sister dies, I'm walking. And they fake it. They fake it. I
They
legitimately thought
do.
she was dead for a second.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, wait, no. The fact that they're not showing Madison, it's like, it's because it's fake.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Also, like James Wan's wife, the
Oh
CSI
yeah.
girl. I was like, if
Ingrid.
something happens to her, I'm walking.
Yeah.
So she came close, but I'm like, whew, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Hey, she's like the only cop in that precinct that left unscathed. Like she's
yeah, I
fine.
know, I know. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, dude. Yeah. Uh, And now I'm like, okay, so what is Madison in jail? Like, what do they do?
Hey,
Right?
man, like I don't know.
Oh man, I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah,
I'm not concerned with those questions, you
yeah,
know, like I'm just like, hey, the movie gave me pretty much exactly what I wanted. I
interesting.
had a crazy good time. This is like a
Yeah,
William Castle and I think it's like William Castle from, you know, like the 50s making like the Vincent Price movies, The Tingler, you
yeah.
know, stuff like that. And then this just feels so reminiscent of like the I think it's called Dark Castle, the stuff that did like the uh I think it's just called The Haunting with like
Mm.
Jeffrey Rush from the 90s.
Was he in that?
Was he? Oh, well, because they did the one with like
Because The
because
Haunting was the one with Liam Neeson.
okay. Well, still, like I think that's that same company. And then
Okay.
there was the other one that he's in, and so is uh Chris Kattan.
Oh, yeah. What was that? Was that
Yeah,
called The Haunting?
what movie was that?
I don't remember, but yeah, I like this movie felt very reminiscent of like those '90s, early 2000s,
Yeah,
especially like the third act. I was like, dude, this feels like and like and that style was in everything because like there are moments that felt like Blade, you know, some of those
yeah.
action sequences, and then there were moments that felt like Darkman, you know, just the style of Gabriel. I was like, dude, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this is
Mm-hmm.
so cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's weird because obviously a lot of what Gabriel does needs to be CG, but you could also tell a lot of it was also practical. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
it was like the uncanny valley effect. I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching, but I think I like it.
Yeah. I think like it goes a little too crazy with like the camera movements as Gabriel's
Yeah.
moving, but I feel like that's because we're not really supposed to know. Like we're still like why is he moving
And
like this?
I
Like
think
he's
it's to hide what's actually on camera
oh
because
100%. Yeah.
because of that, it's so hard to
Yeah.
film someone who looks like that.
But they did have like any of the shots of him running, like
Yeah.
just pure running, not like the crawling or jumping over stuff.
Yeah.
Any shot of Gabriel running is a stunt actor who learned how to I
To
think they're
like
also
run
like a
backwards.
contortionist. Yeah, and they
Yeah.
were running backwards.
So weird. It's so
Yeah.
creepy. Like,
And then of course the whole precinct fight is just like this is
that was awesome.
insane. It's
Yeah,
insanity. Yeah.
I loved it. That
Yeah.
and oh, and then like the random prison cell with women from different decades. I'm like, where are these women coming from? Like
Right? I was
the
like, wait, is this a
70s?
period movie? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm okay
Uh,
with it. This
I
is
don't know.
fine. Yeah.
Um, yeah, like so my the reason why I say like I don't mind that I kind of knew and I kind of had it spoiled a long time ago, but like
Hmm.
I still think I would have figured it out because like all the clues are so there in your face,
Yeah.
you know, like so I just felt like it would have been you either moved it like the big reveal sooner in the movie or something just because like a lot of it I was kind of just waiting like okay
Mm.
I you know when it's a mystery but you're ahead of the
Of the
like
characters.
the characters, you know,
Yeah.
usually it works sometimes but usually you want to be in sync or a little behind like your lead, you
Hmm.
know. um it's just you know I know it kind of sounds like just a little gripe, a little complaint here, but like legitimately, I thought the actual reveal of the twist was so cool. I was bummed that I had figured it out because they're
Yeah.
watching the video of when she's a little girl, and then they walk behind her with the camera. It's like "Rah!" It has the
Mhm.
arms. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh god, like I don't know, like visually it was cool. So I didn't see that coming. I thought it was just the head because her head kept bleeding. So I'm like, oh, maybe there's a face under her hair. Just go
Mhm.
to the doctor, he'll tell you. You know, but I'm like, oh no, it's literally breaking through her skull. And well, not anymore, but when she was a girl, it had arms. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
crazy. So No, I think it was awesome. I think it was cool. Part of the reason I want a sequel is because now that they've done it and the twist is out, now I think they could really do something crazy.
Yeah.
You know, um, you would have to. It would have to be a different type of horror movie. You know,
Hmm.
because this one really relies on like I don't want to call it traditional, but like your kind of horror tropes. Like, is there a ghost in this house? Something's
Oh yeah, yeah.
mysterious, you know, it's killing things off. Like they also never really explained the electrical powers. I don't know if that's super brainwave things, but I'm like, I'm okay with that. Also, that means Madison has that. We saw her
Yeah.
get the strength at the end, but I'm like, wait a minute, that means Madison has, electrical powers.
Crazy electrical powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like,
She
okay.
can she can probably also talk through like speakers and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, origin of a villain or origin of hero? I'm telling you, the Unbreakable universe.
Hey.
I feel like this character would exist in the same world that like McAvoy does from Split. You know,
Mm. Hmm.
like get on that James Wan and Shyamalan. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I was reading the Wikipedia, and there was a critic that essentially said that, like, yeah, this is like uh what did they say? It's like, oh, this is like if the demon from The Exorcist possessed a Batman movie. And
oh,
I'm like,
interesting.
yeah, I can kind of see that. It's
Yeah.
like, just, yeah, just we're going crazy, like we're
Hmm.
doing full on body possession in
Yeah.
this weird kind of like heightened reality, you
Yeah.
know? Um, yeah, yeah, I love just how like auspicious it is that like Sydney, Madison's baby sister, is driving her car to the old like insane asylum essentially, and she even like has a moment where she sees it as she's driving. She's like, "Oh wow."
Dude, I've had dreams like
It's,
that. Of
yeah,
like, what is that place? Like, I swear I've
yeah,
dreamt of this place before. Yeah, it just that looks so cool.
yeah.
But yeah, like that's something I really liked about this film, like the role of the sister. I felt like in a traditional horror movie that could easily be written off to like more of a side character, and she is, but like she
Hmm.
really played a pivotal role in like the story and the plot,
Hmm.
and she didn't die, you know.
Yeah.
So like I like that because me as a writer, that's the stuff I like. Like, oh, I'm gonna slowly introduce this character, and then by the end, like she's kind of the main thing. Like they're trying, like Madison's trying to stop Gabriel before she kills her Sydney. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
that's where the stakes are. Nobody cares about the mom that they never met. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's about Sydney. So that's why the fake out of her getting killed works so well. You're like, no, what?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I really dug that. I really dug that role. I'm not familiar with that actress. For a second I thought it was Florence Pugh. I was like, is this like a young Florence?
No.
Because she has that kind of same peppy attitude. I'm like, okay, but
I
no.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I don't know. I didn't take notes, so I don't know who this is. But good on you, actress who played Sydney. The music was a choice.
A brilliant choice. Perfect. Matthew, they play a like crazy weird like electronic orchestral Where Is My Mind?
Is that
Not
okay? Is that legit?
once, not twice. They play it three
Dude,
times,
I thought I was
baby.
imagining it. I was
Nope.
like, is that the
Nope.
Pixies?
You are not.
Several
Yeah.
times in the movie, I'm like, is that the Pixies? That's
Hmm.
basically those scenes I was talking about with the weird
Yeah.
transitions. I'm like,
Yeah.
the hell? So I think the biggest one that like I just could not help but laugh, but like it's also because it worked so well was when also I called it. I didn't know that was the mom they kidnapped until they slowly reveal like, oh,
Oh,
Gabriel kidnapped the mom. I was like, I thought it was
yeah.
just some random person. But when she's chained up there, I'm like, huh, that'd be really cool if that's Madison's attic. Cause it
Oh,
just
wow.
yeah, I'm like that house is so weird, and I don't know, like the shape of the house it's tall. It's like 2 or 3 stories, but it's super like thin. It's very slender.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I was looking at so you only see it from the inside of the attic, and I'm like, that's a cool, creepy goth like room. I bet that's an attic somewhere. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I was just like, huh, that would be cool if that was Madison's house. And then sure enough, later, I thought an awesome scene. She finally escapes and falls straight through the floor,
Mm-hmm.
like 2 stories.
Yeah.
And then like the music starts picking up and it does like what do you call it when it's like I think I'm remembering this wrong, but like it's one shot, so she hits the table, and then the camera like they push in towards Madison, but I think they zoom out. I forgot what that's called.
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
And she just like screams, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when they one of the scenes with like the weird electronic pixies, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's all slow motion. Like, everyone's kind of like walking outside in the rain,
Mm-hmm.
and then like Sydney's like trying to talk to her through the window of the cop car, and like Madison's just like,
Oh, she's screaming. She's like
yeah.
screaming, crying in
I
there. And I
was
was
like,
like, this is a
dude.
great
I
movie.
was like, this is
This is
awesome.
brilliant.
So
Yeah.
this is kind of not gonna sugarcoat it. I can tell you love this movie a lot more than I do, but I have similar feelings for like Streets of Fire, where it's like I don't know if this is a good movie, but it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like I really liked Malignant. I do think it's a good movie. It's just this isn't anything on the movie itself. It's more on the audience. Like
Hmm.
you gotta be willing to buy in. Like
Yeah.
especially horror movies and just Hollywood in general. We are so used to watching stories be told in a certain way that when something like this comes out, it
Hmm.
was like a slap in the face, and I didn't know what to think. I was kind of offended. I was like, "Son of a bitch, you did this
Yeah.
to me on a Saturday night."
Yep. Sure did.
It's good. It's really refreshing.
Mhm.
All I know from James Wan is Fast and Furious, so it was nice.
Mm.
So,
I see, like, I'm really curious how this would have played out if it was released when it was supposed to release.
oh,
Because this it had a delayed release because it was supposed to release March of 2020.
okay,
Actually, I have it pulled up right here. Let's see. Okay, well, it ended up releasing. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So like it was supposed to release in March of 2020.
hmm,
Obviously, with the COVID pandemic, that didn't happen. And then it got pushed back all the way to September of 2021.
oh, geez,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
Oh wait, no, do I have that wrong? Sorry, no, it was March 2021 when it was supposed to release, but
okay,
they were
yeah.
still doing, just it was
Movies still
crazy.
weren't premiering yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think like they had slowly flirted with that idea,
yeah, because
and
Fast and
then
Furious didn't come out till like it was like June or July, and that was
yeah,
one of the first ones back. You know.
yeah, yeah. So then this didn't come out, and then it was the thing that Warner Brothers did, was same day home release, theater release.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was released in September 2021.
Hmm.
Uh, it did numbers on Max.
Yeah.
uh it eventually, like, as people were going back to theaters, as people were getting vaccinated and all that, it was like, oh, okay. And then overseas, like, it did well, so it did eventually, like, make
Yeah.
money. um
So
but
you
yeah,
thinking
like,
it
I'm
would
just,
you thinking it would have done better if it was?
well, I don't know. See, that's the thing, like, because like, it was still that weird thing of like, maybe more people can watch it and more people can
Yeah.
talk about it, quicker. But it all comes down to like the who isn't on the internet, who isn't terminally online talking about this
Right.
stuff, and how much did they enjoy it? Like, do they have
Yeah.
the same kind of arguments that you do? It's like, oh yeah, I could predict that from the opening
Yeah.
credits, that it's like that's kind of what I'm curious about. And like this doesn't have like super mixed reviews, but it is kind of a thing where a lot of people are like, this is just crazy. I don't. It's
Hmm.
the same thing. Like I don't know if this is good, but it's
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
Okay.
like the more negative reviews are sort of just like, yeah, it's not very good.
Hmm.
So it is kind of a thing of like meet the movie where it's at, and I
Hmm.
think we can kind of come away from that with saying like, for me, I think it's a good movie.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
doing a lot of the stuff that I really love. So for me, it's heightened, and I think it's a
Right.
great movie.
Yeah.
But I think for baseline, I think it's still pretty good. I think it's still well made. I think your mileage on the twists and scares are going to vary.
Hmm.
Um, but it's a fun time, if you want, just
Yeah.
throw it on at any Halloween party you're at, and I think people are going to have fun with it.
Yeah. 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 I don't know like if it would have done better at like just a theatrical release or not, you know. I
Yeah.
think what could have helped is once it premieres and then you could preempt all the trailers and commercials like don't let anyone spoil this for you.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
Because that would be a huge selling point.
Hmm.
Because I feel like this is a movie that everyone would talk about.
Yeah.
Especially the horror movie crowd. Because all you crazy people want to go get scared for some reason. So like
That's true.
yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been done pretty good.
Hmm.
Um,
But it's also kind
that's
of like you said,
interesting.
like this isn't super scary, but this has like a Sam Raimi energy to it.
It
You
does
know,
have a Sam Raimi energy to
this
it,
has like a
and
Dark Man Army of Darkness vibe.
I think that would also help in the promotion of it of just like the word of mouth. Like this movie is crazy,
Hmm.
that like you sell it as a horror movie, but then once it's out, you kind of course you would still have the same footage from the trailers and stuff.
Hmm.
It's still a horror movie, but you would also be able to add like it's crazy, you're never gonna see this coming,
Hmm.
and it won't be a lie. Like it's a very unique film,
Yeah.
and I really like it. I wouldn't call it body horror. I mean, it's kind of by definition
No,
like
this is
there.
body horror, Matthew.
No, I mean there is, but like that's not why I
Gabriel
would
is
that.
is literally
No,
cracking open the
yes,
back of
I
her
know,
head.
but like you don't see it most of the time. Like you really only see it like in very limited pieces. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like how could you continue to sell it to get people in? You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
Um because it's like I for one like I'm not a big body horror fan. A lot of that stuff just kind of like it's just gross. But like
Yeah.
that's why I say like I sure by definition this is body horror, but I'm like I didn't see any of it, and I think that's kind of what's cool because they do save the reveal till later on,
Mm.
even though at least I knew what was
Hmm.
up. Like okay, that's Gabriel, all right, but then you actually see the face, you're like oh that's rad,
Hmm.
I'm like okay, I'm into that. Um, it also like we grew up in the 90s and 2000s, so like there's so much that's reminding me of that. Even dare
Hmm.
I say the gothic qualities of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Okay. Whoa.
Gabriel is straight up wearing the same wardrobe as the Invisible Man,
Dang.
just a
That's true.
black leather coat.
That's
you know.
true. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, like I don't know. It's creepy. It's fun. I
Hmm.
had a blast. I am someone who is very kind of OCD, and I need to rate it. And I don't know how I'm gonna rate this. 4 stars for sure. Maybe a
Yeah.
little higher. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Good on them. Good job, James Wan. You're going places.
In order to build traction and
Uh-huh.
build a fan base to bring to just bring it more to the masses, bring it more to the common folk,
Hmm.
um, I think James Wan, Universal, or I'm sorry. Oh no, this is a Warner Brothers. James Wan, Warner Brothers. They need to team up with Epic Games and they got to put Gabriel in Fortnite.
Oh man. Here's the
Put him in
thing.
Fortnite.
I would dig that. Um, Another reason why I want Malignant 2 is because I want to actually see him. Like, and I don't mean the
Yeah.
face, but I mean because so many of the chase scenes and like we said, the camera was so crazy. We kind of got glimpses, but like just for I guess listeners, if you haven't watched this, I don't know what you're doing here. But essentially, Gabriel is Madison just doing everything backwards.
Hmm.
So like I'm pretty sure he like dislocates her arms so they face backwards.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
And
that's kind of the thing that they do like once he like fully possesses her in the
yeah.
prison. Yeah.
But then even the way he's running, like it's someone like running backwards.
Hmm.
So the knees are the right direction, but it's moving like to him it's forwards. To everyone watching, it's like that person's running backwards.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
just so bizarre and like I just want to I just want to see it. It looks, it's so weird. Like my brain is trying to process it. Because like I said, if they do a second one, they can't. It would have to be so different because the twist is already out there.
Yeah.
Like you can't keep hiding him in the shadows. Like we have to see what this thing looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, what would that story be? Okay,
Oh
Madison needs
no.
help, so she goes to Gabriel. That was
I
our
w-
same. That was our same sequel for Abigail.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know what a sequel to this would look like. Like, and we're comic book guys. We're superhero people.
Yeah.
So like obviously, like my first thought was just like, I want to see like Madison embracing her powers. It's like
Uh huh.
yeah, like maybe she's training, like maybe like
Yeah.
doing something. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. And because it's me and because I love this trope, I'm like, she has to team up with Gabriel
Mhm.
to figure something out, or to solve it. Maybe not saving her sister again, but
It's like a
yeah,
really
just
twisted version of Venom.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
for
not a
sure.
symbiote; it's literally a part of you.
To give me control, Madison.
Yeah.
We can take them, you know.
So okay, well, you kind of talking about that in the ending stuff. My idea for the end, maybe it's a little too, I don't know, peace and love, but like I thought what would have been really cool instead of locking Gabriel away, like we see Madison, she gets the strength, but like what else can she do? Not just physically though, but because like Gabriel is like almost this manifestation of like uh pain and fear because
Hmm.
he's been alone this whole time, and like whereas Madison's the opposite. She was
Hmm.
taken in by love and this loving family, and she deliberately, even as a kid, tries to fight him in her own way. I thought that was very cool the way she talks to him on that little creepy kid phone.
Yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
but I was thinking, like, even though he killed her unborn kids, like, instead of locking him away in a prison, she locks him away, like, in
Like a bedroom.
yeah. And the
That's what I
mom's
was
there.
thinking too. I was like, what are like how
You
like
make it so Gabriel doesn't want to escape. Like, he actually gets the love and attention he never got, you
I
know?
emotions are high. She did just learn that he's been eating her babies.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's like I get it, and I get the idea of like the prison bars. Like it's all the symbolism, it's all going into the metaphor and all that. But yeah, like I would love to see if we do get a sequel, I would love to see that. I would
That's
love
how
to
we
see
end the sequel?
like Gabriel's
Yeah.
not in just in this like prison thing anymore. Like maybe that's the place where they start to meet, where it's like
Yeah.
he's trying to like build his own sort of like creepy edge lord mind palace thing, and then maybe towards the end or by the end it's like they share like a home together, and Gabriel is in a sort of room, and kind of like just oh, that's where they can have their conversations, like they get to have it at like a dinner table,
So this is, yes. So this is what happens. The whole
Mhm.
movie is this back and forth. Madison and the mom is there, fake mental mom, and he just keeps killing them over and over and over. But Madison's like, you son of a bitch, I ain't giving up on you. And so eventually he starts to break down, and like you could have the whole scene of like where, you know, he usually, I don't know, he'll rip her apart or whatever. But this time he's grabbing her and just kind of like crying into her shoulder, and like, cause she's not going to leave him. And then you could do the whole thing of like you said, of the dinner table or the bedroom or whatever. But for whatever reason, at the end, Gabriel's like, no, only I can defeat MacGuffin.
Arch nemesis,
and it's gonna kill Madison. I have to do it myself. So like his arms start coming out again, and he physically rips himself from Madison's body.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's like, we need to cut out the cancer, and he rips himself off out of her skull. Yeah. Oh yes. James Wan, give us millions of dollars. We'll make it for you.
I'm going to push back so hard on this.
Maybe the Malignant Sam was within us all along.
That's the thing. And that's the thing that you're just like, yeah. So here's why they didn't kill Gabriel, Matt. Here's why they didn't kill this guy in movie 1. And why he's not going to die in movie 2, why he's not going to rip himself out of the body and get Madison's fine. Like, no, like they share a brain. Like if he tries that, he's dead and she's probably going to die. All right.
I want a character arc.
But here's the thing. You're thinking character arc is just, like archetypal, like what's the truest form of heroism that a character can have? Self-sacrifice, ripping himself out of the body so that she can have a normal life and a beautiful life, and he's there, and then he dies, because that's how the stories always end. It's the heroic sacrifice. He dies.
Good point. I Disneyfied it, guys. I'm sorry.
It's like, it's fine, but it takes the movie from this was great moment, fine ending.
Okay.
Because for me, what is better is that, and this is going to be a little silly, but backwards run with me here. They have this moment. Where it's like we've got to come together, beautiful, tearful, blah, blah, blah. In true superhero team up fashion, Madison goes into that final confrontation with MacGuffin. And then during their confrontation, Madison and Gabriel keep switching back control of the body. And taking the guy out, taking the blah, blah, blah. Looks like somebody's gonna die, like, blah, blah, blah. And then Madison looks like, she's like super wounded. Gabriel, like, she's gonna be out cold. Gabriel takes control of the body to save Madison, to make sure that, because he knows, I can end this fight and I'm gonna finish this because you're my sister, you're my family, and we are like no matter how we can break it, all we have is each other, and all we're ever going to have is each other. And then he takes out MacGuffin. Madison gets saved, blah, blah, blah. Everybody in the friend circle is now kind of like, I guess we're kind of cool with Gabriel now. Like, this is still such a weird thing. But because that's part of the thing too. Like, the metaphor is that there are terrible things that can come from inside you. You may not know what they are exactly or how they manifest, but they're inside of you. Why Gabriel doesn't die is because it's empowerment. Madison now has control over this thing that has haunted her whole life.
It's more
now she has the ability to use it and harness it.
It's more empowering to be in control of him instead of just killing him off.
It's not killing your demons. It's embracing them and utilizing them in your life,
Interesting.
And for me, I think that's better because so many of
Yeah.
these movies, you know, like even the good ones, so many of these movies involve, you know, death like this. Like
Hmm.
death is the finite, death is the absolute, death is the thing that is like,
Yeah.
hey, it's permanent and we're done, you
Yeah.
know? But you know, I think in order to kind of keep up with this energy and keep up with like challenging horror tropes and
Hmm.
challenging, you know, expectation and all, it's like, yeah, what you like that great like first run at the script, and you're like, yeah, like this is fun, and like I know that's so much more blockbustery, so much more,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
so dramatic. I know exactly how to film that. The other way is a little bit more challenging,
Yeah.
and yeah, definitely going to put off a lot of people who want the ripping the body out. But it's like, no, like
Hmm.
that. I think that's what makes it beautiful, you know, because
I
you
like that.
like this is the movie, this is the kind of movie that I feel like can challenge and can match pace with A24 horror movies that are
Mm.
very like introspective and slow burning, you know, can still be, you know, pretty like terrifying, but
Yeah.
you know, it is all about, you know, the story first, the metaphor first.
Right.
And I feel like this can kind of be the happy medium of like we're getting the crazy gonzo nutball, you know, psychedelic punk rock horror movie while
Yeah.
still being about something, you
Yeah.
know, and still presenting character and theme at the forefront. Just we're setting it to an orchestral, you know, electronic version of the Pixies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you're gonna hate my other idea, and it was actually Madison sacrifices herself and dies, and Gabriel now gets a body where he gets to live out his life,
I mean,
and he goes job searching at the end. I don't know.
he'd make a great electrician.
Well, now I have to pay
He'd make a
rent.
great disc jockey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome back, listeners. Listen to
Ah,
K481.
yeah. Well, that was a ride. That was fun. That was a crazy movie. I liked it. We didn't even talk about any of the cop stuff, but I really like that aspect.
Mm,
I like having characters who like they're not in on it. They don't know
yeah.
what movie they're in, you know?
I, I
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that idea, and I love that idea. I don't remember, I was thinking about this recently, but it's like I love it when, oh, because I watched the Silent Hill movie for the first time.
Oh, okay,
Uh
yeah.
and I love it when like detectives or cops or just people that come from a very like
Yeah.
straightforward, the world is black and white kind of, you know, binary. I love
Yeah.
it when they're put in the situation where none of that matters and all this
Mm,
crazy otherworldly stuff is happening,
mhm.
and it's like, how do you cope with that? How does your mind, you know, process that information? And like
Yeah.
this was a crazy, you know, insane way to do that. I think for the sequel, we should have everybody outside of the police force, maybe some of them are retired, or just like, you know what, I'm
Hmm.
done, that was crazy, I don't want to go anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Or just have like a weirdo private detective agency. I
But
think that'd be cool.
that would be cool. But you see, but that's kind of like kind of the opposite of what I'm talking about. But the film did
Mhm.
both because like the cops don't really go through any of that until I don't know, maybe halfway or a little
Well,
further when the
yeah,
guy
yeah,
fights Gabriel.
yeah.
Um, but for most of the movie, they don't know what's going on. They're just in a cop show, you
That's
know.
true. That's
And
true.
I
And they think
kind
it's Madison, so
yeah, and like I kind of dig that. Like it's kind of the plane with like normality. Like they're just
mhm.
living their normal lives. They're doing their jobs, and it's something super crazy and evil's going on. You know, it's kind of like the concept of like the daytime horror films. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Midsommar. Like I've always been fascinated by that. Like if you can make me scared in a very well lit movie, you, you're on something, man. Like
Yeah.
you know, heck yeah. Um, so something like that, and so I kind of like those characters, and not specifically this movie, but characters who kind of do that, who are like, oh yeah, either because they're oblivious or they just don't know it. You know,
Mhm.
they don't know what's going on. But then, like this movie, once things start getting crazy, it's not really till the third act. Like when they're interrogating Madison and then they throw him in jail, and that's when the detectives really find out, like, wait a minute, because she starts remembering, like, are you saying your
Mhm.
twin did this, or no, your imaginary friend did this?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said call him the devil. And that's when it's like they're like, what is going on,
Hmm.
and then the lights are going crazy and they're like, huh. But until then, they're just like, man, Madison's weird.
Yeah.
And she's a very skilled fighter, apparently.
Yeah.
um but I know I've talked about it on the podcast before. The very first novel for Supernatural TV show,
Oh yeah,
they
yeah.
did like the mass market novel, and I'm pretty sure it was called Nevermore. And it's Sam and Dean go to Boston to investigate a series of murders that like imitate Edgar Allan Poe's stories.
Hmm.
And for the whole book, like they don't know if there's actually anything supernatural going on.
Hmm.
And in the end, yeah, sure. It turns out it's some weird guy, like a cult of one, trying to worship Edgar Allan Poe. I don't remember, but like they have to fight him. And I think Sam's in the guillotine and all this stuff, and like
Hmm.
they eventually kill him and stop it. But like the end of the book, like they're kind of questioning themselves because these guys they hunt demons for that's their everyday life, and
Yeah.
like they're kind of questioning it, like did we just fight like a really crazy guy, or was he actually like tapping into something
Yeah.
supernatural? And I
Yeah.
love that feeling. Um, and then they threw in like a B plot of like a punk rock ghost that wasn't that great, and I'm just like, oh, it's just because we have to sell that this is a supernatural book. But that's kind of the vibe I was getting from like the cop story. It's just like, what is going on here? And I
Yeah.
like that. So yeah. I also like characters who are just too dumb to be afraid. Like they don't know they're in a horror movie. You know, I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Um, yeah, listeners, let us know what you thought about Malignant. Give us your hot takes, your not hot takes. Like, I'm just
Hmm.
really curious to hear what people thought about it. I talked to my cousin
Yeah.
Mark about it. He's like, yeah, yeah. The family went to bed and I stayed up and I watched it one night. He's like, it was crazy. It was crazy. I was like, yep,
Yes.
that's the review. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I'm like, oh man. Um,
My review.
so
This happened to my buddy once.
yeah, yeah. What? Which part? Yes.
Yeah.
Um, we've already gone on pretty long.
Yeah.
Listeners, let us know what you thought about Malignant, and thank you for joining us this holiday season, this Halloween
This
season.
holiday season. Yeah.
Join us this holiday season. We'll still be doing episodes. But no, thank you for joining us doing this horror movies these past 4 weeks. It's been fun.
Mhm.
I'm already nervous about next year, so
Oh,
we're
yeah.
on the right track.
Now, I guess we'll talk about it more in depth later, but I'm really curious. Do you want to do more crazy stuff? Because I kind of just focused on like I think Matt's gonna dig this because it's not. I feel
Yeah,
like it's not super spooky. You
yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, I think that our main thing is just like it's got to be cool,
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah.
where we kind of struggled with Salem's Lot because you were excited for it. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and
Mhm.
we had a lot of issues with it. And like,
Yeah.
I don't want to just trash talk something for an hour. And I
Hmm.
think that
Hmm.
episode we kind of ended up talking more about like the storytelling process and like vampires themselves.
Hmm.
So, like I'm kind of fine with you finding stuff that you think I would like.
Okay.
I'm kind of in a tougher boat because I don't know what horror movies I would like. So I'm just like, what's interesting? Like I already have a list of some stuff that I want to watch. So, but I probably
Yeah.
won't do it until next Halloween. So
Dang it.
I know, but I don't know. Like, not gonna lie, this was kind of exhilarating, and I am kind of curious to like. I might watch like one or two horror movies between now and then. Who
I'll
knows?
take it.
You
I'll take
know?
it.
Yeah, because I don't know. There's just talking about it and like doing the little research on the movies that I did. I'm like, huh, this movie sounds interesting. Or,
Mhm.
oh, I always wanted to watch that one. So
Mm.
we'll see. Um, but listeners, we're getting to the holidays really soon. So next week we're jumping into. hang on, let me check my schedule. I'm pretty sure it's next week. We're jumping into double episodes.
Ooh, yeah, that's right.
Yep. So next Monday, we're gonna have another. I don't know what we're calling it. I think it's an Ask Dad. Dad's gonna be back,
Woo.
but usually, like we've been just kind of chatting and talking about fun stuff or whatever. I think we're going back old school to like the first few times we did it, where like, no, we're legitimately like asking Dad for advice on stuff
Hmm.
because I think there's kind of a big lack in that right now online of just uh it's there's kind of a market for that like dad content, you
Hmm.
know, people who need advice and you know they don't have a relationship with their dad or their dad's not around, so like they're kind of finding people online to help them with their car or like a big one that I was reading up on was like moving away to college or just into a house. A lot of
Hmm.
people they don't have anyone who know anything about the actual physical stuff like uh anything simple like how do I install a door or how do I install a lock, you know,
Yeah,
something simple
yeah.
as that to like the overall broader questions, you know, like okay, how do I know how much money I should be investing per month, you know, in the upkeep and all that stuff, you know, so like there's such a market out there for like questions to ask parents that people don't have anyone to ask. So I'm
Hmm.
like, and that was the whole idea of Ask Dad in the first place. So I
Yeah.
think next week we're gonna find some legitimate questions, not just who's your favorite Superman story, Dad, or Superman actor? You know?
If you could find a giant version of yourself or 12 mini versions of
Yeah.
yourself, which one would
Which
you
would it
prefer to
be?
fight? Yeah, yeah.
Awesome question.
I think that's a
Uh,
good question, though.
yeah, I do
That's
too.
going to be my icebreaker question whenever I meet somebody new and just to like be like,
Yeah,
hey, let's cut through all the small
yeah.
talk.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna have Dad back next week, next Monday, and then I don't know if we decided what day, Wednesday or Thursday. We're gonna start dropping the final season of Lost.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So join us next week as we jump into season 6, episodes 1 and 2
Mm-hmm.
of Lost. It's a two-parter. So join us.
Brace
Until
yourselves.
yeah, until then, hit us up on Twitter. I'm at underscore Matt Jimenez. I'm on Threads now.
Whoa.
I don't know how to find myself there. It's just, oh, I guess well, it's hooked on Instagram, so I guess you can find me at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I am. Oh, interesting. Okay. I'm gonna double check really quick. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky
Oh, nice.
at Real. That's REEL Texas Weirdo.
Sounds good. I don't have a sign off for this.
Well, I'll say this once again. Thank you for joining us for all these movies. Until next year, happy Halloween.
Next year, join us before then, please. We're gonna have lots, like 100 episodes between now and then.
Well, okay,
But if
but you know, for the horror movie stuff, like
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. Whew. We'll see you in a year, guys.
We'll see you in a year.
Uh, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.